Yo, what's good, man? This is Issy Mitchell Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy, back here with our next special guest in the building.
Hey.
All right, guys, and before we even start this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And then, like I always say, man, I'm going to continue to bring amazing guests. And today's guest, we're going to speak about something that so many people are afraid to speak about on a daily basis, I can speak for myself. I mean, where I'm from, a lot of times we don't get to have these conversations. We don't get to sit down. Our parents never really sat down with us and had these kind of conversations. And I feel like it's very important. So if you're tuning in today, just sit down, get you some water, some popcorn, because this is going to be a great convo. And this guest that I have here today, she's very straightforward. She doesn't hold nothing back.
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna just have you introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, and we can start this.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Natalie. I am extremely passionate about sex, relationships, and growing up, I actually was, grateful enough to have a environment where it was open. We talked about sex at the dinner table. I then was like, how am I going to turn this passion into purpose? And so I decided to go to college for first communications because I didn't know how I was going to do that in the first place. And then I picked up psychology. And so I graduated with psychology and communications. And then under that umbrella, I was like, I can do independent research on human sexuality. So I did. I took a lot of classes with that. I did a lot of theses on it. And that just kind of opened up a forum for me to meet a bunch of different people. And here I am today with my own podcast. And just rolling with it. Again, I'm very forward. I don't care what people think.
Most definitely. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, the whole point is for you to educate people.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You grew up in an environment where you had like the opportunity, like you said, you had the opportunity to sit down on the dinner table. Some people don't even have that opportunity, but they need to.
Yeah.
Because they go out there and they sleeping around and not knowing exactly the importance of that. So but before we even get into some of the questions, the podcast that you have, can you just give us a little bit gist of it? Like, what do you, because I know you speak about sex, but what is your target audience in most cases?
My target audience is curious minds, the minds that want to know about their body. It's not just sex, it's relationships and embodiment. I'm feeling this feeling. What does this feeling mean? Okay, let's talk about it. Sometimes it goes into my genitals have a bump on it. What should I do? Right? Or it goes into my boyfriend just broke up with me and I don't know how to cope with it. So talking about the taboo is all topics that are considered taboo, whether, in a different environment, different cultures, different places in the world. I just want to give people a forum to go to when they have questions that they fear to ask. And then I also allow people to just like laugh with me, I really turn education into humor. College, I didn't learn anything unless they had humor associated with it. So
most definitely, that's it. And so on your podcast as well, when you're speaking to people, like how do some of the people approach you with their questions?
They do approach with a curious mind, but they're shy, right? Shameful. I don't know how to explain it other than just tiptoe. And what my goal is to turn all adults who have, rendered youths into stompers, not tiptoers. It's over now. We're stomping on it. And we're going to continue to talk openly about sex and relationships no matter what people and other people think. So they are coming to me with this, I don't know what, and then they're leaving with the, I know what. Their chest isn't like this no more. They're open.
Right.
And that's my goal. Is to just allow people to walk the walk and talk the talk and be confident, shake their big ass, do what they want to do. That's
yeah, most definitely. And you've had some guests there too. What are some guests that because I've watched some of your podcasts and some of your clips that you have on Instagram, and I see you have actually guests from all over America.
Yeah.
Like them near, like you have people in Florida that you're speaking to, different states.
Pennsylvania,
So what professions have you had so far on your podcast?
I have gynecologists, I have sex therapists, I have sex coaches, I have embodiment practitioners, I have OnlyFans, so sex workers. Really trying to get a dancer as well on to talk about that culture behind that. Because why I do that is because, again, we need to saturate it. It needs to be saturated. We need to know everything about it. And so each different person who's working in women's health, just sexual health in general, is able to give me the answers that everyone else is answering that I just don't know the answers to yet. I'm like learning from them,
Right.
as they're learning from me.
That's me too. Like when I do bring different guests on my podcast, I'm actually learning from them. Like right now, it's like the reason why I have you here today actually is for me to ask you some of the questions that you did go to school for and you very much aware of and that I may want to know about.
Sure.
And my first question is, what are some of the common myths about sex that you encounter most often? Most often.
So many, and it's so disappointing. One of which is that all women can squirt, and second of which is that all men are sexual, and that's just not the case. To elaborate on that is that men are expected to be horny all the time, and that when they go in for their first sexual encounter, they expect to just know what it is. The song Wet Dreams talks about it. You know what I mean? And then they're going in and the other partner is like, oh, you already know what to do. And they can step back and then you're sit there confused. And then you're also seen as what? The man whore because you happen to have attraction to other people. God forbid you turn them down as a man, you're at fault. God forbid you have consent, you're at fault. It's never the other person's fault or the female's fault. You just got to push it on the man because that's generation. Then we go into how female and the woman's sexual health is just completely did not start until like the 1970s. We weren't in like sexual health was not in women's health. And there's videos on YouTube showing women how to force themselves to squirt. You're going to prolapse your bladder. Not every woman can squirt. When you orgasm, it's just a feeling sometimes. There's no secretions. Sometimes there is. There's discharge and things like that. And so I'm watching these videos and I'm just so sad because I don't know who's watching it, but they're like, oh, okay, let me force myself to squirt. And they just like do what they got to do with their toy. And then they're going to end up hurting themselves in the long run and have no pleasure down the line. Because they're forced to be like, okay, well, this woman squirting porn over here, I got to go look like that. And it's detrimental.
So would you say like porn is also like one of the major issues on like misleading people on what they should actually expect in sex or just their sex life in general?
Porn opens up the floor for allowing kinks to come alive, which I love. I love it so much. And there's so many different types of porn and so many ways that we can use it properly and positively. But for the younger generation, they don't understand exactly what their kink means yet. They're like, wait, why do I, like, or even just like wanting to be with a woman, right? Like if you're figuring out your sexuality and like you watch like, girl on girl porn and they're like, okay, so I have to look like this. I have to sound like this. I have to do this. No, like that's not the right forum to use. You want to come to someone like a sex educator like myself or go somewhere else to get it first and then use that to help your pleasure. Give you some maybe internal ideas about, oh, she did that with the clit. Okay, so maybe let's go to the person, ask for consent and say, I saw this on a video, not sure if this is the right way to do it. Can I experiment with you? But instead they'll go in and just jam it in and do what they gotta do. And then they're ending up in a horrible situation and the person leaves like, oh my God, what am I feeling right now?
But as a as a student that did study psychology and all of that, they say that porn is not good for the mind.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, but you also have some pros that
There is pros.
that you accept when it comes to porn. But like, what's the bad thing about it? Because a lot of people, it can mess their minds up. Especially men. Men who they say that men who do watch too much porn, most likely are not gonna have good sexual life. Plus just they're gonna be very much distracted in so much like their mind is gonna be so lusted in almost every single thing that they're not gonna see a woman for who they are and try to like have that great relationship with them. They're just gonna look at them as sex object. But like what's some of the cons that would you say that porn has?
I want to validate though first the people that have a partner that watches porn and they feel uncomfortable about it. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be uncomfortable with something and set boundaries with your partner. That's absolutely okay. My personal opinion is I think there's positives and negatives to porn. Like I said, the negative to porn is the specific videos that you choose to watch. How often are you watching it? How are you using it? Are you using it just to get a quick jerk off? Or are you like trying to actually feel the pleasure in your body? Are you just watching it like it's TV? Or it's on the basis of time, consent, and your own boundaries. You are allowed to watch. I mean, we have sex every day on TV, sex scenes. Porn allows you to feel the pleasure in the body that you want and give you what you want and actually be able to use your kinks and see the kinks in the real world. But there's people out there that see that as cheating. And I understand, because you want, selfishly, in the most positive way possible, you want them to just watch your videos. And so I invite people, when they tell me about their uncomfortability around porn and how if they feel like it's impacting their relationships, I'm like, take your own videos. Set up a tripod. They're like $15 on Amazon. Put your phone up and make your own porn video.
Mm.
And then you're able to use the consent and boundaries that you are now setting with your partner and turning that into something beautiful.
Are you in a relationship right now?
Yeah.
But like, how do you discuss those things with your partner? Like, is your partner okay with you, watching? Let me say, if you had time to watch porn, like, is your partner okay with that? And how do you kind of go across that conversation with him?
This is a great question. So I'm with my partner. So my partner and I met when I was 14. He was 16 at a summer camp. And we broke up for 5 years. We just got back together about a year and a half ago, actually. He is obsessed with porn. He loves porn. But when I was younger, to be fully frank with you, I had this one circumstance where we were getting intimate, and he needed porn in order to have sex with me. It was horrible. I never told him about it. I let him just watch porn while we were having sex. And I was 14, and honestly, I didn't know everything, right? I had an open environment. Even when you have an open environment, you still don't know everything. And it wasn't until a year ago, 10 years later, that I got to talk that out with him and say, you watched porn while we were having sex. He goes, I didn't even know I was doing that. It's become completely subconscious. And that is what I mean when you are taking the porn and using it for the wrong reasons. Porn and OnlyFans and all of that is put out there to benefit you and help you with your pleasure, but it's not put out there to use as a form because you have to use it. It is an ally. Just like sex toys, men have this, not men in particular, everybody. My boyfriend particularly was like, when I wanted to use a vibrator, he was very like, I don't know. Like, why can't you just come with me? Blah, blah, blah. Because it's your ally. It's your friend. I don't rely on it. When you begin to rely on the porn, that's the problem. And then finally having that conversation with him and opened it up, and we set boundaries and consent, and we were really able to just open it up. And he's just such a great partner. He allows me to just be who I am, talk about what I want to be. He actually is the one who said, you need to become a sex coach. You need to become a sex therapist, because I was constantly talking about this everywhere I got, like a party, and he was a little uncomfortable at first, but he got used to it because he knew my purpose.
Right, most definitely. I know you said that you and your boyfriend did meet when you was 14 and he was 16. So like just at that young age, and you started having sex with him. Yeah. But in your own, from your own studies and just your own, opinion, just to go forward, what is an appropriate age to start like sex education?
Huge topic, huge debate, lots of myths, culturally, especially religion. Sex education is a building block, right? You're not going to go right in and tell a 4-year-old what a threesome is. That's not what we're saying. And why people are like, no, you're not teaching my kid that, is because they expect their kid, if they're educated about it, they're going to go do it, and they're going to go do it stupidly. No. Set the generations up for success. Begin age 2 to 3. Anatomically, what is this? This is your vagina. This is your penis. This is your ball sack. Do it and use the terminology anatomically. If not, this, young boy is going to go home and say, he tried to eat my cookie. Oh, well, you could share his cookie, and then that little boy is going to go share his cookie, and it never will be communicated. But then if he comes home and says, they tried to touch my pee-pee, my penis. Oh, okay, now we know this is not a cookie. Teaching them that. Building on it, you go to age 13 and 14. STIs, STDs, those need to be talked about. And sex education and health class is BS. Don't even get me started on that. Oh my
Let's start on that. Like, what do you say is BS?
They teach celibacy.
Mm.
Psychology, you're going to go tell a kid not to do something and expect them not to do it. They're going to go do it, and they're going to go do it not so well. Because they're going to be like, oh, I'm better than this. I know what I'm doing. You're not going to sit there and tell me that I can't do it. And they're going to go make mistakes, which is okay. But coming from somebody who had a mom that was just really open about it, I was able to make the choices, but I still made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, actually. But I educated myself. I allowed myself to live in my pleasure. And I say that all the time, live in pleasure. Pay attention to your body and in your embodiment. But kids are being told, okay, this is a condom, this is how it goes on the banana, and they leave and they go to the next class and they don't think about it. I know this one teacher who was wearing like a condom dress and was actually open about it. It wasn't an
He was wearing a what?
like a
In
condom.
school?
It was somebody else's school. I think it was in Florida. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said that their sex educator used to run around the school wearing like condom dresses or sperm dresses and things like that because she wanted people to remember what she was saying. I was talking to you about it earlier. If you don't have humor and you don't have a character or a personality, and you're just, no, this is the condom, this is the banana, and this is what a chlamydia is, and this is what gonorrhea is, and they go on to their next math class because they have a test next class, they're not going to hear you. They're not going to listen to you. But if you're like, all right, guys, so who's having sex? No one's going to raise their hands, right? No one's ever going to be like shameful. And they're going to be like, okay, so if you are having sex, maybe a little awkward at first, just be so open about it. Let the awkwardness fly. Let it be itself, because if you're not awkward and you continue not to be awkward, these kids are going to grasp onto it and they're going to listen to you. They're going to watch you. Maybe they're not going to say something, but they're going to watch you.
Yeah, most definitely. So, like, let me say, when you were young and your mother is teaching you all of this and she's very much open to you, I mean, telling you what was this, and then when you go to school and you learn sex in school, did you at least try your best to, implement what you was learning from your mother to your peers, or
Oh my
how did you do that?
humor.
Okay.
I made a lot of sex jokes. I had a boyfriend throughout the entirety of school, so I would always talk to them about my sexual experiences. And my mom used humor. I mean, this may seem really inappropriate to other particular families and environments, but I knew my mom's sexual experiences. She told me the bad ones. She told me the ones where she had to lie. I was a one night stand baby. Like, you know what I mean? And I knew all of that. She opened up to me later on in life about it. But I was able to talk to my peers when they came to me and they were like, I can't get wet. And he's trying to use the condom and I don't know what to do. So I was able to teach him like what kind of lubes to use, not to use spit, because another myth is, or not a myth, but something I want to educate is that spit is actually horrible to use. It has a lot of bacteria in it, depending on what you ate. Can you imagine if you just ate jalapeno poppers and went to go spit on her pussy, and then now she has a UTI and she's burning? And so I was able to tell people and educate people and be like, okay, wait, girl, you can't be doing that. And
But when you mention that though, like, there's oral sex.
Mhm.
So what about that? Let me say you eat hot Cheetos and jalapenos, and then you go do the same thing. Isn't doing the same thing?
What do you mean?
Like, wouldn't you be able to, still give her the, you say
UTI.
UTI? Wouldn't you be
You
able
still
to?
can if you didn't eat them too. Yeah,
Okay.
your spit is just full of bacteria. Your spit's cleaning out your mouth, cleaning out what you ate. You could still use the spit, but that's why I say you have to pee right after sex. There's also particular lubes I would help people use. There's goat skin condoms or regular latex, because a lot of people were telling me they were itching a lot after sex, or they just like had some type of burning sensation. Of course, I had to sit and say, okay, maybe we get you tested for STDs or stuff like that. How long has it been? Stuff like that. But I'm allergic to latex. I found out on my own, like, oh, okay, goat skin. So I went to go to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm having this issue. She's like, oh yeah, just look up the skin brand. This is goat skin condoms. So natural. So then I went to go merge into my peers and be like, I have an answer to your question. This is what it is. So yeah, you still can get a UTI from giving oral. Absolutely. There is, though, actual dental dams, which they don't teach you in school. They're like little sheets of paper. They're flavored like strawberry, and you put it over the vag if you want to, like, female to female or male to female. And then you also flavored condoms for when you're doing oral with a male, and you can also just suck on that. It doesn't taste like latex or anything like that. It tastes like strawberry. and that helps prevent STDs. But also helps prevent that spit really getting up in there and giving you a UTI. It's really cool. They're really
Yeah,
tasty.
that's crazy. I know they got all those things now.
Yes, they
That's
do.
crazy.